Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when everything seems locked, everything seems high, everything seems impossible. Yet, right in the middle of impossibility, a spark rises inside the human spirit. A spark that whispers, "You were not born to be trapped. You were created to break through." This speech is not just another message. It is a call to awaken the inner giant, the one sleeping behind your fears, your doubts, your failures, and your history. Because every barrier standing in front of you is terrified, not of your strength, not of your talent, but of your mindset. A right mindset can turn a weak person into a warrior. A wrong mindset can turn a warrior into a prisoner. Tonight, I want to show you the mindset that does the impossible. The mindset that takes ordinary people and positions them for extraordinary success. The mindset that does not bow. The mindset that does not break. The mindset that builds success even in the middle of storms. If you are ready to rise, if you are ready to think on a higher frequency, if you are ready to step out of the limits that once held you, then this message will become a turning point in your journey. Let us begin. The vision-anchored mindset, seeing beyond what eyes can see. The foundation of every barrier, breaking life is vision. Not eyesight, not imagination, but vision. Eyesight shows you what is in front of you. Vision shows you what is possible beyond what is in front of you. Eyesight is limited. Vision is limitless. Eyesight sees problems. Vision sees potential. And when a person begins to live by vision instead of circumstances, their entire life rises above the boundaries that once confined them. You must understand, every great achievement began as a picture inside someone's inner world before it ever manifested in the external world. Buildings stood in drawings before they stood on the earth. Businesses lived in thoughts before they lived in markets. Breakthroughs grew in the mind before they grew in reality. The invisible always precedes the visible. The inner picture always produces the outer experience. This is why the first step to breaking barriers is not changing your environment. It is changing the picture inside your mind. A barrier-breaking mindset is not intimidated by the size of an obstacle, because it already carries a bigger vision on the inside. When your inner picture becomes larger than your outer pressure, the pressure loses its power. When your vision becomes brighter than your reality begins to shift. Vision is the light that dissolves darkness. Vision is the fire that melts limitations. Vision is the force that pulls you into a future greater than your past. But vision does not appear automatically. It must be cultivated. How? First, you must see yourself higher than where you stand today. Every limitation is strengthened by the image a person holds of themselves. Small vision creates small living. Expanded vision creates expanded success. You must see yourself capable, even when you feel weak. You must see yourself rising, even when you feel stuck. You must see yourself successful, even when your background whispers otherwise. The inner picture you carry becomes the blueprint your life begins to follow. Second, you must guard your vision against the voices that try to shrink it. Whenever a person rises in vision, they attract critics, doubters, and fear-based thinkers. They will tell you your dreams are unrealistic. They will call your goals too big. They will advise you to be reasonable. But greatness was never born from reasonableness. It was born from boldness. Do not allow small minds to shrink your large future. If your vision is given from a deep place within you, then it is your responsibility to carry it, protect it, nurture it, and fuel it until it becomes reality. A vision is not a wish, it is a responsibility. And the more faithfully you carry it, the more powerfully it begins to shape your steps. Third, you must rehearse your vision daily. The mind believes what it sees repeatedly. That is why elite performers visualize before they act. Your mind needs to see your success so often that it becomes its new normal. The more you meditate on your vision, the more real it becomes to your inner world and eventually to your outer world. Fourth, your vision must be bigger than your fear. Fear creates barriers, vision breaks them. Fear paralyzes, vision mobilizes. Fear blinds, vision illuminates. When your vision becomes stronger than your fear, fear loses its influence. Finally, your vision must pull you into disciplined action. Vision without movement becomes fantasy, but vision with action becomes destiny. A vision-anchored mindset rises above excuses. It breaks the chains of limitations. It walks with purpose. It dreams boldly. It thinks boldly. It moves boldly. And because of that, it succeeds boldly. When a person carries a vision-anchored mind, barriers become stepping stones, challenges become classrooms, and obstacles become opportunities. This is the mindset that breaks barriers and builds success. The mindset of unshakable belief, refusing to bow to limitations. Belief is the engine of success. It is the invisible force that pushes a person forward when everything around them says, stop. It is the power that whispers, you can, even when the world screams, you cannot. The second mindset that breaks barriers and builds extraordinary success is the mindset of unshakable belief. A belief so deep, so solid, so rooted, that no circumstance, no rejection, no failure, no criticism, and no barrier can shake it. Many people fail not because their goals are impossible, but because their belief collapses under pressure. They begin with passion, but when storms come, their confidence crumbles. They start with excitement, but when resistance rises, their belief evaporates. Success does not belong to the most talented, the most educated, or even the most gifted. Success belongs to the one whose belief refuses to bow. Belief is not emotion. Belief is not motivation. Belief is not hype or excitement. Belief is a decision, a firm, immovable decision to trust your path, trust your potential, and trust your purpose even when you can't see the full picture yet. To develop unshakable belief, you must first understand that belief is built in the invisible before it manifests in the visible. You cannot wait for success to believe. You must believe before success appears. You cannot wait for results to be confident. You must be confident before results come. This is the paradox of success. The inner conviction comes long before the outer confirmation. Unshakable belief begins with knowing who you are, not what your environment says you are, not what your past says you are, not what failure says you are, not what other people say you are. A person who does not know themselves will always settle for less than what they were designed for. But a person who knows they are created with potential, purpose, and power refuses to shrink. They refuse to settle. They refuse to be defined by limitations. They walk with confidence, not arrogance. Confidence rooted in identity, not ego. To build this mindset, you must also silence the inner voices that constantly attack your belief. Every person fights two battles, the battle outside and the battle inside. The outer battles are opportunities, obstacles, and opposition. But the inner battle, the battle of doubt, fear, insecurity, and self-sabotaging thoughts, is the most dangerous of all. If you conquer the inner world, the outer world becomes conquerable. If you lose in the inner world, the outer world becomes impossible. This is why you must challenge every thought that weakens your belief. When a thought says, you are not capable, you must respond internally, I am equipped. When a thought says, you cannot rise higher, you must declare, I am built for more. When a thought says, this is too hard, you must say, I am stronger than this. Your belief grows through repetition. Just like a muscle, the more you strengthen it, the more it strengthens you. And once belief becomes strong enough, barriers lose their power. The moment you stop believing in limitations, limitations stop believing in themselves. Another important part of unshakable belief is the refusal to let failures define you. Failure is not a sign that you cannot succeed. Failure is a sign that you are trying, learning, growing, and moving. Failure is education wrapped in pain. Many people allow failure to become a full stop when it was only meant to be a comma. Success requires the courage to rise again, again, and again, until rising becomes your habit. Unshakable belief also requires the courage to think differently from the crowd. Most people follow the patterns of average thinking. They believe what is normal, acceptable, and socially approved. But those who break barriers carry a belief system the world often calls unrealistic. They think bigger, stretch further, and dream wider. Their belief is too strong to be shaped by the small expectations of others. Finally, unshakable belief must translate into unshakable action. Belief is not passive. It is not quiet. It is not weak. Real belief moves you, pushes you, and activates you. It makes you wake up earlier, work harder, persist longer, and endure stronger. When belief becomes unshakable, your steps become unstoppable. This mindset transforms ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. When your belief becomes solid as stone, your barriers become fragile as glass. This is the mindset that breaks limitations and builds unstoppable success. The discipline of thought management. Guarding the gates of the mind. Your mind is the command center of your life. Everything you build, everything you break, everything you rise into, and everything you fall from begins first in the arena of your thoughts. Before a person is defeated on the outside, they are defeated on the inside. Before a person succeeds outwardly, they conquer inwardly. This is why the third mindset, the discipline of thought management, is absolutely essential for breaking barriers and building lasting success. A barrier is simply a thought that has gained authority. A limitation is simply a thought that has been repeated so often it becomes a belief. A failure pattern is simply a set of thoughts strengthened through habit. And yet, many people allow any random thought to enter their mind the same way an unguarded house allows any stranger to walk in freely. No security, no filter, no awareness, no discipline. Your mind has gates, your mind has doors, your mind has windows. But you must become the guard. You must choose what enters. You must reject what damages. You must welcome what strengthens. You must remove what weakens. Thought management is not a casual practice. It is a lifelong discipline. If you want to change your life, you must start by changing the thoughts that shape your life. The first step in mastering thought management is recognizing that not every thought is yours. Some thoughts come from your upbringing, some from your environment, some from past trauma, some from cultural conditioning, some from fear, some from comparison, and some from insecurity. Just because a thought appears in your mind does not mean it deserves to stay there. If a thought enters your mind and speaks against your future, it is an enemy. If a thought enters your mind and shrinks your confidence, it is a threat. If a thought enters your mind and weakens your potential, it must be evicted. A disciplined mind immediately recognizes toxic thoughts and refuses to negotiate with them. You don't take them for coffee. You don't entertain them. You don't explore them. You don't sit with them. You shut the door. You close the gates. You protect your inner world. The second part of thought management is replacing destructive thoughts with empowering ones. You cannot leave your mind empty. You cannot just remove negative thoughts. You must plant positive, powerful, growth-building thoughts in their place. The mind is like soil. It will grow whatever you plant. If you plant fear, you will harvest paralysis. If you plant doubt, you will harvest hesitation. If you plant excuses, you will harvest stagnation. But if you plant discipline, you will harvest progress. If you plant courage, you will harvest breakthrough. If you plant belief, you will harvest success. Thoughts are seeds. Your life is the field. Choose wisely what you plant. The third part of mastering your thoughts is monitoring the voices you allow around you. Thoughts do not grow in isolation. They grow through influence. The people you listen to, the environment you expose yourself to, the content you consume, and the conversations you entertain all shape the climate of your mind. Some voices lift you. Some voices limit you. Some voices break you. Some voices break you. A disciplined mind is surrounded by disciplined voices. A strong mind is surrounded by strong voices. A growing mind is surrounded by growing voices. If you surround yourself with people who always complain, you will start thinking like a complainer. If you surround yourself with people who tolerate mediocrity, you will begin accepting mediocrity. But if you surround yourself with people who speak vision, growth, possibility, and responsibility, your mind rises to their level. The fourth element of thought management is mental rehearsal. The human mind becomes whatever it consistently imagines. Visualizing your goals, reviewing your purpose, replaying your desired outcomes. These are not fantasies. They are training sessions for the mind. When you mentally rehearse the future you want, the mind begins to move toward it with clarity and confidence. The fifth discipline is self-correction. Even the strongest minds drift. Even the most disciplined thinkers occasionally entertain fear or doubt. Thought management requires the maturity to quickly correct your thinking. When your mind slips into negativity, you pull it back. When your thoughts shift into discouragement, you redirect them. When your inner dialogue becomes critical, you adjust it. Success does not require a perfect mind, only a managed mind. Finally, mastering your thoughts produces one powerful outcome. Your mind becomes your ally instead of your enemy. A mind that works against you creates barriers. A mind that works for you breaks them. With disciplined thought management, your mind becomes a fortress of strength, clarity, focus, belief, and power. And once your mind is fortified, no barrier can withstand you. The creative mindset turning problems into possibilities. Every barrier you face in life carries two faces. One face looks like a wall, the other looks like a door. One face says, stop. The other says, think again. One face shows the problem, the other reveals the possibility. The difference between these two faces is not the situation. It is the mindset you bring to it. This is why the fourth mindset that breaks barriers is the creative mindset, the ability to transform obstacles into opportunities and challenges into breakthroughs. Creativity is not limited to artists, musicians, designers, or inventors. Creativity is a life force placed inside every human mind. It is the ability to see what others miss, to combine what others separate, to discover solutions where others see only complications. Creativity is the power to build a path when none exists. A creative mindset looks at a closed door and asks, is there a window? A creative mindset looks at a shortage and asks, what can I multiply? A creative mindset looks at a problem and asks, what is this trying to teach me? A creative mindset looks at a limitation and asks, how can I rise above this? Creativity is the ability to see beyond what is visible. To develop a creative mindset, you must first eliminate the mental habit that kills creativity, the quick surrender. Most people do not lack solutions, they lack persistence. The moment they face resistance, they assume defeat. They hear no once and give up. They fail once and conclude that success is impossible. Creativity cannot grow in a mind that accepts defeat quickly. Creativity requires the courage to pause, analyze, rethink, rearrange, and reimagine. It requires asking deeper questions instead of surrendering to the first answer. The second way to build a creative mindset is by cultivating mental flexibility. Rigid minds break easily. Flexible minds find new angles. Rigid minds get stuck in patterns. Flexible minds discover new patterns. Rigid minds say, this is how it has always been. Flexible minds say, this is how it could be. Creativity thrives when the mind learns to stretch beyond familiar thinking. Flexibility means being willing to change tactics, adjust strategies, and explore unusual ideas. Sometimes the greatest solutions come from the most unexpected thoughts. Innovation is often born in discomfort, not comfort. It grows in curiosity, not certainty. The third principle of a creative mindset is resourcefulness. Many people wait for more resources before taking action. They say, if only I had the right tools, the right money, the right chance, the right support. But the truth is, creativity multiplies what you already have. A person with resources but no creativity stays limited. A person with creativity but no resources begins to grow. A person with creativity and resources becomes unstoppable. Creativity does not ask, what do I lack? It asks, what can I do with what I already possess? Sometimes your greatest breakthroughs will come from the small, overlooked seemingly insignificant resources already in your hands. Creativity turns little into much. The fourth part of a creative mindset is thinking independently. The greatest limitation to creativity is the need for approval. When your mind becomes dependent on the opinions of others, creativity suffocates. Innovation requires the bravery to think differently, even if others do not understand it at first. People who break barriers do not think like the crowd. They walk alone when necessary. They take risks others fear. They imagine solutions others avoid. Independent thinking is not rebellion, it is freedom. Freedom to explore, freedom to question, freedom to innovate. The fifth foundation of creativity is observation. Creative people are not always the smartest, but they are always the most observant. They pay attention to patterns, reactions, gaps, needs, and possibilities. They see what others overlook. They listen deeply. They analyze thoroughly. Creativity begins with seeing the world differently. Finally, creativity requires action. Ideas without movement are fantasies. Thoughts without execution remain dreams. Creativity becomes powerful only when turned into steps. Experiments, attempts, tests, adjustments, and implementations. You do not need a perfect idea, you need a tested idea. Every attempt sharpens the creative edge. Every failure teaches. Every experiment expands wisdom. A creative mindset breaks barriers because it refuses to be trapped in one way of thinking. It builds success because it transforms challenges into stepping stones. When you become creative, you stop waiting for opportunities. You start creating them. And when you start creating opportunities, you become unstoppable. This is the mindset that turns problems into